Information discussed in this podcast may be sensitive in nature to some listeners. Listener discretion is advised. In 2018, Lakira Goldsmith was enjoying being a mother to her 2-year-old son. She was a young mother at 20 years old, but she was a doting mother and loved her boy more than anything. She had a close-knit family around her, and she was living in Montgomery, Alabama. Lakira's family had also affectionately nicknamed her Pig, with 2 G's, and Lakira embraced the name. Many people knew her just as Pig, and she was extremely social and outgoing. A few days after Thanksgiving, on Tuesday, November 27th, 2018, Lakira had a date with her boyfriend. He picked her up at her grandmother's apartment, and they headed out for the night. In the early morning hours of Wednesday, November 28th, Lakira's grandmother saw a car pull up outside the apartment. She looked to see if it was Lakira arriving home, and she saw that it was. She witnessed Lakira getting out of the car, and then, knowing her granddaughter was home safe, she went off to bed. But Lakira never came back into the house. In fact, Lakira hasn't been seen or heard from since. Where is Lakira Goldsmith?
Goldsmith's mother says she was left looking for her missing daughter on her own. She feels her race and background played a role in how her daughter's case is being handled.
White people, college students, they put in effort to get search team to help search for them, but where's Lakira's search team? It's not fair to my daughter.
Alabama, there are 7 young women of color who are currently missing. Daughter Lakira is one of those who are missing.
It's been 13 months since my daughter Lakira went missing. It's like she just vanished. Lakira is a fun, loving person. She make you laugh. She loves to sing. It's just hard without her. Lakira has a son. His name is Armani. I show him photos and videos of his mom every day. I don't want him to forget her. She has a 9-year-old sister who cries every day, who wants her big sister back. She writes poems, songs, expressing her feelings for her sister. Every day I break down. I try to be strong for my younger kids, but it's getting harder and harder because we need Lakira back. It's hard. It's really hard every day, going on every day, not knowing where your child is. I know that my daughter didn't just up and leave. She would never leave her son behind. She would never leave me behind. I know there's someone out there know what happened to my daughter. We need her back. If anybody knows something, you think you know something, just call in and come forward. Please, I'm begging you to help get my daughter back home.
You're my angel and I need you. You're my angel and I need you. Just know wherever you are, God is protecting you. And I pray, please come home, 'cause I love you.
Hello, and welcome back to the Where Are They podcast and another baffling, unsolved missing person case. This story out of Montgomery, Alabama is so disheartening, especially seeing how the authorities handled it, or didn't handle it, and how the media virtually skipped over this story only to continue to share other missing stories out of Montgomery. Lakira Goldsmith vanished 4 years ago, and her family continues to search, pray, and fight for help in finding her. Lakira's story is definitely sad. A daughter, a young mother herself, and a friend to so many people. Anyone who is new here to our podcast, our goal is to share the stories that need attention. And Lakira's story is definitely one. Lakira Goldsmith was born on July 24th, 1998. We don't know a lot about her life growing up, but we do know that Lakira has a loving family network around her. We know that in 2016, at age 18, Lakira gave birth to a baby boy. Despite being young, Lakira loved her son and being a mother. It wasn't always easy, of course, but she was an attentive mom to her little boy. Lakira was a severe asthmatic and took medication regularly. Lakira's asthma was so bad, in fact, that she had been hospitalized on more than one occasion. And while Lakira did take care of herself, she was described as the type of person to help someone else before herself, even if it meant inducing her asthma. Her social media does reference that she is from Rochester, New York, but we know that in 2018, she was living in Montgomery, Alabama, along with her family, which included her mother and her grandmother. In 2018, she was staying with her grandmother at an apartment on Narrow Lane Road in Montgomery. The disappearance. It was just days after Thanksgiving in 2018, and Lakira was planning for a date night out with her boyfriend. She put on her black velvet knee-length dress, a silver rhinestone choker necklace, silver rhinestone earrings, and a silver lip ring, and headed out the door for the night. Shortly after midnight, her grandmother heard a car pull up, and she looked out to see if it was Lakira. And it was. She saw Lakira getting out of her boyfriend's car as he dropped her off. Figuring she would be in shortly, her grandmother went to bed. But Lakira never came inside. The next morning, the family started asking around the complex to see if anyone saw her. Her mother also called the police to report her missing, and they basically took a report, and that was it. They didn't advise the family of anything. They didn't state what they were going to do to search for Lakira, and the family felt like they just kind of blew it off. Now, Lakira was an adult, and adults have the right to disappear, and law enforcement does know that. They will say they have the right to disappear unless there's something mysterious going on. Law enforcement doesn't always start searching right away. So since searches for Lakira from the authorities were essentially non-existent, her family knew they had to step up their efforts to find Lakira. The search. Lakira's family continued to desperately try to get help from law enforcement, but law enforcement still wasn't too worried. Now, first, I figured it's possibly a manpower issue. Montgomery, Alabama is a big city, the capital city of Alabama. Perhaps their law enforcement is understaffed. I see this in a lot of cases. And while it's sad, sometimes they are just doing the best that they can. But a few things would happen here that make me think that's not necessarily the case, or at least the entire case. There would be other missing women in Montgomery that would get some attention. We'll talk about a couple of them in a bit. Also, it would be learned several months later that Lakira's case was never even entered into the Alabama database. One clue that was learned early on, and I'm not sure by who, whether it was discovered by the family or authorities, was that a maintenance worker at the apartment had come forward with a story about seeing Lakira that night, the night she went missing. Actually, it would be very early in the morning, the next morning, around 2 a.m. She had gotten out of her boyfriend's car, just as her grandmother had seen, and just as her boyfriend had confirmed, and then started walking towards her apartment. A maintenance worker said that she stopped and asked him if she could use his phone. I have many questions about this, but we'll come back to that. He let her use his phone and said that he wanted to give her some privacy, so he walked away for a few minutes. A little bit later, he returned, only to find that Lakira was gone and the phone was sitting on a nearby stairwell. So he grabbed his phone and went back into his apartment. Now, here is what is unclear, and there might be answers that make sense. I just couldn't find them. Where was her phone? If her phone had died, she was at her apartment building. Why not go inside and use the phone? Or did she maybe not have a phone? Also, if this did indeed happen, who was she calling at 2 a.m.? Why didn't she go right into her apartment? Certainly, if police would have investigated this, they could have verified some of this information through phone records. Lakira's mom wondered if maybe Lakira was going to her friend's house in North Montgomery. So they searched the area around the apartment building and along the route between that apartment on Narrow Lane Road and her friend's place, which was in the Newtown neighborhood of North Montgomery. That distance, depending on which way you travel, is about 10 miles. And they feared that maybe something had happened to Lakira while she was on her way there. But there were no signs of Lakira anywhere. Her family was even more concerned because of Lakira's asthma. Had she possibly had a medical emergency and be in need of help? Physical searches for Lakira were primarily done by her friends and family. Her mother worked hard to get some media attention as well, but it still received very little. The disheartening part is that other women would go missing, and they would receive some attention. Why couldn't she get more eyes and ears on Lakira's case? I can't even imagine how frustrating that must be. Montgomery, Alabama. Montgomery is the capital city for the state of Alabama. There are over 200,000 permanent residents in the city of Montgomery. The city sits on the banks of the Alabama River and covers over 150 square miles. While there are some parks within the city, the area is very busy, very populated. But of course, if Lakira was walking somewhere or going somewhere at 2 a.m., it's possible that she just wasn't seen. I just wonder if she did have a medical emergency, where did she end up that she hasn't been found? Montgomery is also known as a pretty high crime city. Wikipedia had this to say about crime statistics in Montgomery, Alabama. Montgomery's violent crime rates compare unfavorably to other large cities in the state. In 2009, Montgomery's crime rates were favorable compared to other large Alabamian cities such as Huntsville, Mobile, and Birmingham. However, crime rose in the 2010s and the early 2020s, leading to a record high of over 320 shooting victims and over 77 homicide victims in the year 2021. In 2022, Montgomery's violent crime rate was 514 per 100,000, earning a crime score rating of 9 out of 100. This means the city of Montgomery is safer than only 9 other cities in the country. For property crimes, Montgomery's average is similar to Alabama's other large cities, but higher than the overall state and national averages. The Alabama River is a significant body of water through the city as well, and it does have some patches of heavy woods bordering on those riverbanks. I was able to do a Google Earth and a Google Map walkthrough of the area, and there definitely is some pretty dense woods around there. Looking at the map, also in the area of Narrow Lane Road, where Lakira's apartment was, I noticed it's on the opposite side of the city from where her mother thought she may have been headed, to her friend's place in the Newtown area. Depending on the route, again, it's between 6 to 10 miles. And it's also worth noting that Newtown is much closer to the riverbank area. But how was Lakira getting there? Other missing women in Montgomery, Alabama. While Lakira's case has received little media attention, there are several articles talking about the missing women of Montgomery, and oftentimes Lakira is at least named in those articles. Let's look for a minute at the case of Anaya Blanchard. Anaya's case comes up often when talking of Lakira's, and it's clear that a lot of people believe there may be a connection. Anaya Blanchard was reported missing to the Auburn Police Department on October 24th, 2019, almost 1 year after Lakira vanished. For some reason, Anaya, a young Black woman, just like Lakira, received a ton of media attention and law enforcement attention. During the course of the investigation, surveillance video was found of Anaya with a man at a gas station the night she disappeared. That man would be identified as Ibrahim Yazid of Montgomery. Ibrahim had a violent criminal history. In fact, when Anaya was seen with him, Ibrahim was currently out on bond for attempted murder in another case. With the evidence that authorities were able to uncover, they charged Ibrahim with kidnapping, the kidnapping of Anaya Blanchard, and a manhunt ensued. Ibrahim would be picked up by authorities in the state of Florida. Near the end of November, Anaya's remains were found and identified. She had been shot to death and her body had been left in a wooded area of Macon County. Macon County is 1 county over from Montgomery. Ibrahim Yazid was now charged with murder. I'm not 100% what the connection is, or if it has even been confirmed, but many locals discussing the case claim that Lakira and Anaya knew each other, or Lakira and Ibrahim knew each other, and that Ibrahim is possibly a suspect in Lakira's case. Donna Calloway vanished from Montgomery, Alabama in June of 2018, but law enforcement wouldn't take an official report on her until August of 2019. Again, a woman goes missing and authorities don't take notice for over a year. Donna is a 39-year-old Black woman, mother, and sister who just disappeared into thin air with little to no attention from law enforcement and media. Her family does think that she may have been the victim of trafficking because she is easily persuaded and an overall very trusting person. Yet again, it seems Montgomery Police Department didn't jump and act on another missing person case. When asked for comment on Lakira's case, they simply said that they cannot comment on any active and open investigations. So I don't want to pass judgment without having their side of the story here, but you have to admit it doesn't look good for them. Some kind of statement to the public, at least to the family, would be beneficial here in my opinion. Lakira Goldsmith is a young woman that went out for a night out and never came back home. A young woman who had never abandoned her family before, especially her young 2-year-old boy. And the possibilities here are numerous. There isn't one main clue pointing anyone in any specific direction. Did Lakira walk off and have an accident, or a medical incident happened? But where is she? It doesn't seem like her boyfriend is a person of interest in this case. He was seen dropping her off, and Lakira was witnessed getting out of his car. But I am curious what more he might have to say. Did he watch her walk back to her apartment? Was Lakira having troubles with anyone else in her life that he was aware of? We know that the maintenance man gave his statement, and we know that he admits to seeing her and letting her use his phone. Did anyone ever figure out who she called that night? Has that ever been confirmed? Or who she may have tried to call? It was 2:00 in the morning. What was the maintenance man doing out and about? Did he see any activity or any other persons around the apartment at that time? I'm not pointing fingers by any means, but I do have questions. And has this Anaya connection been officially investigated? Not just by locals that are spreading rumors and talking about it. Has it been looked into? Has Ibrahim Yazid been questioned at all about Lakira? There is one thing that everyone who knew Lakira agrees on. She would never, ever leave her family and her son. And it's going on 4 years now. Her 2-year-old boy is now 6 years old and growing up without his mom. Lakira's mother started a very active Facebook group for Lakira. Search for Lakira Goldsmith Missing. Join that group over on Facebook and show your support to the family. She has done so much legwork to find her daughter, with little to no help from authorities. Lakira Goldsmith is described as an African-American woman standing 5 foot 5 inches tall and weighing around 150 pounds when she was last seen in November of 2018. She would today be 24 years old. Lakira was wearing a black velvet knee-length dress, a silver rhinestone choker necklace, silver rhinestone earrings, and a silver lip ring. She also had in blonde hair extensions. Lakira is severely asthmatic and requires medical attention and treatment. If you have any information on the whereabouts of Lakira Goldsmith, please contact the Montgomery Police Department at 334-625-2810. Let's help Lakira's case get the attention it needs so she can be brought home. Sources used in Lakira's case: The Charlie Project, Wikipedia, Alabama Law Enforcement Agency Community Information Center, WTVY.com, MontgomeryAdvisor.com, Web Sleuths, and the Overlooked podcast. Sharing these stories, all it takes is one tip to solve a case sometimes. If you have any case suggestions for us, please send me an email at canwefindthem@gmail.com or send me a message anytime over on social media. You can find us on Instagram at the Where Are They Podcast, on Twitter at Can We Find Them, and Facebook under the Where Are They Podcast. A huge thank you always to all of our supporters over on Patreon. If you'd like to support the show and get bonus episodes and ad-free podcasts, you can join us at patreon.com/wherearetheypodcast. Thank you all again so much for listening to Lakira's story today. A story that needs so much more attention. We will be back again soon with another unsolved missing person case. And until then, stay safe and hug your loved ones.